Page 32. I am quite sure that the man did not notice the little garden until later, and as before, she pretended not to see it. They were speaking French. They stood simply, watching the sea, as if something had saddened them. The man said a few words I could not hear. Each time a wave broke against the boulders, I took two or three quick steps in their direction. They were French. The woman shook her head. I did not hear what she said, but it was clearly a negative reply. She closed her eyes and smiled sweetly. Please believe me, Faustine, began the bearded man with obvious desperation, and I found out her name at last. Of course, it doesn't matter now. No, now I know what you really want. She smiled again, with no bitterness or ecstasy, with a certain frivolity. I know that I hated her then. She was just playing with us. What a pity that we cannot come to an understanding. We have only a short time left. 3 days, and then it will all be over. I do not know what he meant. All I know is that he must be my enemy. He seemed to be sad, but I should not be surprised to learn that this was merely a pose. Faustine's behavior is grotesque. It is almost driving me mad. The man tried to mitigate the gravity of his statement. He said several sentences that had approximately this meaning. There's nothing to worry about. We're going to discuss an eternity. Morel, said Faustine stupidly. Do you know that I find you mysterious? In spite of Faustine's questions, he remained in his light-hearted mood. The bearded man went to get her scarf and basket. She had left them on a rock a few feet away. He came back shaking the sand out of them and said, Don't take my words so seriously. Sometimes I think that I'm able to arouse your curiosity, but please don't be angry. When he went to get our things, and then again on the way back, he stepped on my garden. Did he do it deliberately, or did he just not happen to notice it? Faustine saw it, I swear that she did, and yet she would not spare me that insult. She smiled and asked questions with a great show of interest. It was almost as if she surrendered her whole being to him. So complete was her curiosity, but I do not like her attitude. The little garden is no doubt in wretched taste, but why should she stand there calmly and let a disgusting man trample on it? Have I not been trampled on enough already? But then what can you expect of people like that? They're the sort you find on indecent postcards. How well they go together. Pale bearded man and a buxom gypsy girl with enormous eyes. I even feel I have seen them in the best collections in Caracas. And still I wonder, what does all this mean? Certainly she is a detestable person, but what is she after? She may be playing with the bearded man in me, but then again, he may be a tool that enables her to tease me. She does not care if she makes him suffer. Perhaps more only serves to emphasize her complete repudiation of me, to portend the inevitable climax and the disastrous outcome of this repudiation. But if not, oh, it has been such a long time now since she has seen me. I think I shall kill her or go mad if this continues any longer. I find myself wondering whether the disease-ridden marshes I have been living in have made me invisible, and if that were the case, it would be an advantage. Then I could seduce Faustine without any danger. Yesterday I did not visit the rocks. I told myself over and over again that I would not go today either. But by the middle of the afternoon, I knew that I had to go. Faustine was not there, and now I was wondering when she will come back. I suppose that her trampling of my garden has brought her fun with me to an end. Now I will bore her like a joke that was amusing once, but does not bear repeating, and I will see to it that it is not repeated. But as I sat on the rocks waiting, I was miserable. It's all my fault, I said to myself, because I was so sure I was not coming. I climbed the hill hoping for a glimpse of her. I came out from behind a clump of bushes and found myself facing two men and a woman. I stood still. I did not dare to breathe. There was nothing separating us but 20 feet of empty, crepuscular space. The men had their backs to me, but the woman faced them and she was looking right at me. I saw her shudder. She turned quickly and looked toward the museum. I crouched behind some bushy plants. I heard her say, "This is not the proper time for ghost stories. We'd better go now." I still don't know whether they actually were telling such stories or if she mentioned ghosts only to announce a strange occurrence. My presence, maybe? They went away. I saw a man and a woman strolling by not far. I was afraid they would see me as they approached. I heard a familiar voice say, "Today I didn't go to see." I began to tremble violently. I was sure that she was talking about me. "Are you sorry?" I did not hear Faustine's answer. I noticed that the bearded man had made some progress because they were using the intimate form of address. I've come back to the lowlands. I've decided to stay here until the sea carries me away. If the intruders come to get me, I shall not surrender. I shall not try to escape. My plan not to let Faustine see me again lasted for 4 days and was helped by two tides that gave me a lot of work to do. The fifth day I went to the rocks early. Then I saw Faustine and that damn tennis player. They spoke French correctly, too correctly, like South Americans. "So you no longer trust me?" "No." "But you used to have faith in me." There was a coolness between them now. I was reminded of persons who slip back into their old habits of formal speech soon after beginning to speak with intimacy. Their conversation might have made me think of that, but I thought about the idea of a return to the past in a different sense also. Would you believe me if I said I could take you back to a time before that afternoon in Vincennes? No, I could never believe you again. Never. "The influence of the future on the past," said Morel enthusiastically, almost inaudibly. They stood together looking at the sea. The man seemed to be trying to break an oppressive tension between them. "Please believe me, Faustine." I remember thinking what a stubborn person he was. He was repeating the same demands I had heard him make the week before. "No, now I know what you really want." Conversations are subject to repetition, although one cannot explain this phenomenon. I would not have the reader attribute that statement to any bitterness on my part, nor to the very facile association of the words fugitive, recluse, misanthrope, but I gave the matter some study before my trial. Conversations are an exchange of news. Example, meteorological, of joy or irritation already known or shared by the participants. Example, intellectual. But all conversations sprang from the pleasure of speaking, from the desire to express agreement and disagreement. Watching Morel and Faustine, listening to them, I felt that something strange was happening. I did not know what it was. All I knew was that Morel infuriated me. If I told you what I really wanted, would I take offense? No, I think it would help us to understand each other better. We have only a short time left, 3 days. What a pity that we cannot come to an understanding. I began to realize that the words and movements of Faustine and the bearded man coincided with those of a week ago. The atrocious eternal return of Nietzsche. But today one element was missing. My little garden, mutilated by the Morel's footsteps, is a mudhole now, with parts of dead flowers crushed into the ground. I felt elated. I thought I had made this discovery that there are unexpected, constant repetitions in our behavior. The right combination of circumstances had enabled me to observe them. One seldom had the chance to be a clandestine witness of several talks between the same people, but scenes are repeated in life just as they are in the theater. After hearing Faustine and Morel speak, I turned back to the page in my diary where I reported their previous conversation, and I was able to verify that their words and actions were essentially the same. The few minor lapses I noticed were due to my own inaccuracy in reporting. And then I began to suspect angrily that they were merely putting on a comic performance as a joke at my expense. But let me explain here. I never doubted for a minute the importance of trying to make Faustine realize that she and I were all that mattered and that the bearded man had no place in our plans. I had begun to feel the desire to castigate him in some way. I played with the idea without acting upon it, to insult him by making him look ridiculous to her. Now I had the chance, but how could I take advantage of it? I found it hard to think because of my anger. I stood still, pretending to be lost in thought, waiting for the moment when I would be face to face with him. The bearded man went to get Faustine's scarf and basket. He came back, shaking the sand out of them, saying, as he had said before, "Don't take my words so seriously. Sometimes I think." He was only a few feet away from Faustine. I was not sure what I was going to do. Spontaneity is the mother of crudity. I pointed at the bearded man as if I were introducing him to Faustine and shouted, "La femme à barbe, Madame Faustine." It was a very bad joke. In fact, it was not even clear whether I was speaking to her or to him. The bearded man kept on walking toward Faustine, and if I had not moved in time, he would have walked right into me. The woman did not stop asking questions. She did not interrupt her look of contentment. Her serenity still appalls me. Since that moment, I had been miserable and ashamed. I have felt an urge to kneel at Faustine's feet. This afternoon, I could not wait until sunset. I went straight to the hill, ready to give myself up, certain that if all went well, I would soon be involved in a sentimental scene with Faustine. But I was wrong. There is no explanation for what has happened. The hill is deserted now.